and then we will have the presentation of Professor Costa Freitas. Professor Costa Freitas is PhD in biotechnology, and in this moment is the rector of the University of Évora.
Okay, thank you.
Please take the floor.
Yes. Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you very much for inviting me. Thank you, Professor Gunterstorp, for this invitation, and it is a pleasure for me to be here. I think I will talk about Portuguese universities in 2015 and beyond. I must say that, in fact, it's not really Portuguese universities. I think the challenge is to European universities as a whole, but let me explain a bit about the Portuguese situation or the Portuguese state on universities. So, this is, would like to present you what universities, how are we, the countries, how universities are spread on the country. So we have two subsystems, the universities and polytechnics, and as you can see, in private and public. So the two first ones are publics, and the third one is the private. My university is, in fact, in Alentejo, which is in the south. I don't have a pointer, but so we are completely kind of isolated there. So it might be a good thing, or it might just reveal that no one wants to go there, because there are a lot of challenges that I will show you. I don't think it's problems. I think problems are challenges. So there are a lot of challenges in my university in this region. And as you see, the private universities, and most of universities are on the coast. I used to say that if we don't be aware of, the country we will all fall onto the sea, because there is no one in the interior part of the country. And this is a Portuguese problem that we should be aware of. Besides this is how much the students' enrollment in the last years, and as you can see, we have a lot of more enrollments in the last 10 years, more or less. Oh, okay. Okay, no. I did something here, so. Desculpa. Deve ser desligar. Foi aqui, exatamente.
É só ficha.
É só ficha, foi. Yes.
Okay.
Foi. So we have a lot of more enrollments in the last years, but now we are having a slight decrease on students' enrollments in universities. But we can expect, as demographic studies say, that for the next 5 or 10 years, we can still be more or less comfortable, but not so much comfortable. But we were regaining from a very bad situation, as you can see. And then we had the research in Portugal. And as you can see, it is evident that although we have the country is organized by universities, I have shown you the map. Research centers are organized they are on the different NUT regions. So mainly are in the region of Lisbon, of course. They're in the north, in the center, and then Alentejo, where I belong to, always the sad part of it, but the challenge, I must say, we had just 9 research centers, and the south, Algarve, just 5 research centers. Of course, this was before the last evaluation. It has changed quite well. I'm not going to talk about this, because for the Portuguese people, they say they should be aware that we are not supposed to talk about this now until the process is finished, but the situation has changed. So in any case, but in spite of this, we have a lot of production in terms of articles and published research results in papers and articles during the last year. So we have been very active, and I know I can pay some homage to Professor Mariano Gago, who was, as you might know, this is last week, and he was responsible for these great advances in research in Portugal, in fact. So this is kind of the situation of the country. But In spite of the clear increase of research and the huge number of institutions, we are still far from attaining the goals of education of the agenda of the Europa 2020 agenda, and we are still a medium innovative country. So we really started from a very bad situation, which is we are getting out of it slowly, but we are not so slowly. I think we are very active, but we are getting out of it, but we are still very far from the goals that we should be aiming to achieve. The fact is, higher education has not traditionally been seen as a leading player in the development arena. And so this has changed. This change on the Europa 2020 agenda that put in innovation and universities in the center of the agenda and giving us the fact that we have a role to play in this if we want to get more competitive, more innovative, and we have to ensure that we can do the translation of the transfer of knowledge from universities to the society. And this is something that it has changed, but sometimes not everyone is aware of this, the need for this change. But clearly, universities are central to any sustainable effort to develop social and economic well-being. And we must say that Portugal needs this, so we have to believe, and I believe, of course, if I didn't believe, I was not a rector and I have not been doing research during my life, but that this is very important. So the countries and governments have to be aware of the importance of this and to sustain and to make universities sustainable, and this is a problem that we have now. In the world beyond 2015 will and should things be different. So this is the question. Are we going to change this situation? And in Portugal, is this situation going to be changed? We are aware of this now. Every document that comes to us from Europe and from inside the country as well, we say that education and innovation are essential for growth. So are we all aware of this? Are we giving the instruments to ensure that this will happen? And are we in universities aware of this and changing our way of being in society to ensure that we can feel this commitment? So are we in fact aware of the need to change? The answer is, for the part of the universities and the Portuguese universities, I must say that the answer is clearly yes. We are aware of this. The changes have been dramatically, and we have been changing, and we are convinced of our need to support this innovative process and to support this growth for economy and the responsibility of creating knowledge and transferring knowledge to society. So I think this is something that is embedded in Portuguese universities now. But universities are expected to play an increasingly prominent role in addressing societal issues. However, society, and sometimes governments, and the Portuguese government is not an exception, still perceive universities as remote elite institutions detached from everyday life. So I think that this is one of the problems, is that we are aware of the thing. We change dramatically in Portuguese universities, but the governments, so now I talk by the Portuguese governments, I don't want to be very critical, but in fact there is some criticism, they are still not aware that this change has occurred. So we are aware that we do research, we do good research, we have our strategies, we want the research to follow our strategy, and our strategy is aligned to the strategy for a growth country, a country that needs economic growth, and this is real. So why are we not following or understanding each other's? Sometimes this is a problem. I think that scientists, researchers, teachers, we really don't think the same, we don't talk the same language as politicians, and this is sometimes a problem. As you know, I have been in Brussels for a while, and I must say that while being there, I was convinced that teachers or professors, researchers, definitely don't talk the same language as politicians. So we need to, this is a challenge that we have also, is to make sure that we can translate this completely to the society and to the politicians, to the governments. So this has to change completely and totally. Universities in the world, and again Portugal is not an exception, are involving themselves more and more with society. This is a fact, I must say. And how? By establishing partnerships with different organizations to ensure they reach and serve the right stakeholders in the right way, ensuring knowledge transfer, not just technology transfer, it's also knowledge transfer, and is accomplished and competitiveness increases. So, however, in Portugal, and I just want to talk in fact of Portugal, universities are facing growing constraints of their budget following the 2008 recession. And this is a fact. We are losing funding, our budgets are being reduced. I mean, it's a consequence of the recession, I must say, but education is too important. Research is too important. So this is something that we should pay a bit more attention, in my opinion. These constraints are slowly, not so slowly, in fact, going into research. We have very much options to have funding for research, and Europe is also an option. We are always counting on the international programs, Horizon 2020 and so on, but the point is sometimes this is going into research, and this can lead to regression of our competitiveness and of our position and of our numbers that might not be solved in the next year so easily if we go too deep in these constraints. So I suppose this is a nonsense. I mean, I can't really understand this. But we are aware of our missions. I mean, Portuguese universities, university as a whole. We are fighting for differentiated fundings, and we are accomplishing this. We are sustaining to our limits the quality of the system, and I still think we have a very good system, university system and research. And we know the future depends on us. I mean, there is no future for any country without education, research, innovation, and transfer of knowledge. So now let me talk about the problems of challenge faced by small and regional universities. I don't like the word regional universities, but I mean this is a university that is located in a region of the country, so not the big capitals, big cities. And this is my university. One of the cases in Portugal is my university, of course. So, in Portugal the system is not equal, but because we have very different demographic problems, from the coast to the interior, so the challenges are different. But they are challenges and not really problems, but we have to pay attention to this. And one of the problems that obviously come from being from a smaller city and the interior part of the country is internationalization. Small and regional universities need to take into account their regional needs because we are the engines for growth, development of the regions where we are located, but we need to balance these local needs with the pressure for international visibility. I don't suppose that any university can now be isolated in the world, so we need to be in regional and international networks while we still pay attention to our regions because we have this compromise. We are public universities. So, is it possible to do both to the benefit of all? I suppose it is. So, international partnership in this global world in which we live are, of course, essential. We have to do it. So this is the double version of being a small university in a region like Évora, for instance. But to ensure their mission, our missions beyond 2015, universities need to address a multiplicity of missions. So we don't have just one mission as we used to have. We have a multiplicity of missions. We have to get out of these towers where people always say that we are enclosed in something. We are not anymore. So we have to engage with different stakeholders. So it is the whole society, it's our responsibility, and we are aware of this, I think. Ensure internationalization if they want to play the global competition. There is no other way. Globalization is a fact now, and so internationalization, being involved in networks, international networks, is not an option, is an obligation. All of these changes, we are aware of this, they need to be considered, but in fact, this is in a difficult situation, so the funding crunch is a fact. Competition is increasing. Students are more demanding because they have much more information, good and bad information. The World Wide Web is real. Information travels faster and faster, and all kinds of information. Traditional disciplinary boundaries have collapsed, so we don't have the same disciplinary. We always talk about multidisciplinarity, and this is a fact. It's very difficult to be focused in just one area. Everything is connected now. Teaching and learning has changed, so we have to go, society, people as a whole, they have to go in and out of university quite often because changes are occurring very fast, and we have to be prepared to be able to deliver what is needed all the time when people are demanding. Knowledge transfer is an obligation, and of course, excellence, like we heard before, has to be a priority. And all of these, we have to do it, and we are not ready, and we cannot accept to be that our autonomy is taken off. So there are a lot of challenges that we have to face now, but I think that we are aware of this challenge in name of Portuguese universities, and of course this is a bit delicate situation since the president of the Council of Rectors in Portugal is talking after me, so I'm saying that Portuguese universities are all aware of this, but if not, he will tell so, but I think we are. And we are convinced of this, that we prepare the future, universities prepare the future. I don't believe in a future where education is not a fact, research is not a fact, innovation is not a fact. This is the future for Europe, I'm sure. So we prepare the future. Quality determines the quality of our future, because it determines the quality of young people and the way they are prepared to take the world ahead, and Europe ahead, and we need this dramatically. And so there is no future without education, and of course there is no future without research, innovation, and knowledge transfer. So, thank you very much.